In these closing pages, Nietzsche gives us a litmus test for determining if the aesthetic audience has been too infected by Socratism. It has to do with the experience of onstage miracles. If the miracles offend them, then the Socratism is strong. If they experience something else, perhaps there is hope from Nietzsche's perspective. But what kind of hope? What Nietzsche is getting at here is that the individual who fully embraces Socratism doesn't understand the healing effect of myth. Myth, as we've alluded to in many different ways for Nietzsche, makes a people more naturally creative, unifies the cultural trajectory, organizes the sporadic Apollonian emissions, and allows individuals to interpret their lives. The theoretical or abstract man without myth comports himself very differently within a culture devoid of myths. Nietzsche uniquely portrays the thirst for knowledge, something we moderns understand to be a good thing, to really be a sign of malnourishment. The theoretical man is so hungry for myth that no amount of knowledge will satisfy him. Nietzsche speaks of him akin to a famine victim. Something that may be unclear to us here is that Nietzsche seems to be speaking of tragedy and myth-making as if they are one and the same, that tragedy somehow makes the myths. We know that cannot be true, since myth preceded tragedy, and tragedy frequently employed prior existing mythology for its own purposes. Similarly, myths emerge elsewhere without the emergence of tragedy. What Nietzsche seems to be saying is that tragedy sustains the populace's involvement in myth and the healing power of the Apollonian Dionysian synthesis. What myth and tragedy have in common is that they are an affront to Socratism and by extension science. Without myth and tragedy, Socratism leaves us with nothing but frivolity, superstition, and mind-numbing intoxicants to deal with the limits of knowledge. That seems about right. In his closing, Nietzsche reminds us once more that the Dionysian and Apollonian synthesis not only justifies the individual life, but metaphysically justifies all of life. It is Nietzsche's claim that these only superficially opposed art instincts again and again animate all human existence. The Dionysian in particular, since it drives the Apollonian, seems to forever build these houses of cards only to have them destroyed by theoretical actors. If I understand Nietzsche correctly, the individual life is a stronger one for having experienced the synthesis of these art deities, and the natural trajectory of life goes unimpeded should the Dionysian and the Apollonian effectively couple. All Socratism weakens the health of the individual and the entire arc of nature. Whoa.